In 2025, the greatest revolution you can lead is the one happening silently, within you. You don't need to chase trends. You don't need to prove yourself to people who are too distracted to even understand their own lives. What you do need is to reclaim your attention, because attention is the gateway to your biology, your habits, and your future. In 2025, the most radical act of self-liberation will be this: focus only on yourself. Not in a selfish, egotistical way, but in a biologically aligned, purpose-driven way. The human brain is not wired to handle endless streams of noise, distraction, and comparison. Every moment you spend looking outward is a moment your nervous system is being shaped by forces that don't care about your growth. Every time you check someone else's life to measure your own, you're reinforcing neural circuits that devalue your uniqueness. Your focus is not just mental, it's biological. It affects your stress hormones, your mood regulation, your ability to make decisions. When you shift that focus inward, something powerful happens. Your body stops being reactive and starts becoming intentional. You move from chaos to control, not because life is easier, but because your brain has been trained to respond, not just react. You cannot grow when your nervous system is hijacked. In 2025, the greatest threat to your mental performance won't be failure. It will be distraction. The dopamine system in your brain is direction sensitive. If you condition it to release reward through scrolling, comparing, or chasing what others have, you'll wire your brain to crave noise. But if you teach it to find reward in effort, in solitude, in small daily victories, you'll develop a nervous system that finds joy and purpose. The brain adapts to the path you walk repeatedly. That means every morning you wake up and check into your own body before the world. You're reinforcing inner stability. Every workout, every journaling session, every cold shower, every focused hour. These aren't routines. They're neurobiological reinforcements of your autonomy. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to focus on consistency over chaos, because even your circadian rhythm, your body's built-in biological clock, can work for or against you. Aligning your sleep, your light exposure, and your meal timing can unlock deeper levels of focus, creativity, and emotional regulation. It's not just willpower, it's wiring. You can't afford to wake up reactive in 2025. You can't afford to hand over your energy to gossip, headlines, or superficial validation. Your peace is a neurological asset, not a luxury. Every moment of stillness strengthens your prefrontal cortex. Every breath taken in awareness rewires your stress response. Every decision you make with intention builds a future where you're not at the mercy of your emotions or impulses. The truth is, no one is coming to save you from your own distraction. No one can do your inner work. The world might applaud your posts, your progress, even your pain, but none of it matters if your internal compass is broken. Focus only on yourself, not because you're more important than others, but because your attention is the most valuable currency you have. Spend it wisely. The people who are truly in control of their lives in 2025 won't be the loudest, richest, or most popular. They'll be the most neurologically centered. They'll be the ones who train their biology to follow their vision. And that is exactly what you are becoming. In 2025, the most vital commitment you can make is to focus exclusively on yourself, not out of ego or selfishness, but out of biological necessity. Your brain is a dynamic, adaptive organ that reshapes itself based on where you place your attention. The environment you expose yourself to, the habits you repeat, and the thoughts you dwell on, all of it becomes hardwired into your nervous system. This means that every moment spent obsessing over someone else's timeline, lifestyle, or validation is actually pulling you further from your own neurobiological potential. Your cognitive energy, your emotional clarity, and even your hormonal balance all depend on where you direct your focus. In a world built to keep your attention hostage, reclaiming it isn't just discipline, it's survival. The more you focus on others, the more fragmented your mind becomes. But the more you turn inward and realign your focus to your own rhythm, the more your brain starts to function in a coherent, calm, and powerful state. The mind thrives on intention. When you start your day by aligning your nervous system with actions that reinforce presence, like movement, hydration, sunlight, silence, you activate circuits in the brain responsible for focus, motivation, and self-control. This isn't theory, it's biology. When you seek reward through internal progress instead of external noise, dopamine begins to work in your favor. You begin to crave the grind, not the outcome. You start to fall in love with the work, not the applause. Over time, your system learns to self-regulate, which means less anxiety, fewer distractions, and a greater capacity to withstand pressure. Focusing on yourself isn't about isolating. It's about strengthening your inner signal so the noise of the world can't hijack your clarity. You begin to act instead of react. You begin to lead instead of follow. You begin to feel grounded instead of scattered. Every time you check your phone before checking in with yourself, you give away control. Every time you compare your life to someone else's, your brain receives a signal that you are not enough. That signal wires into your identity. But when you redirect your energy into discipline, into structure, recovery, movement, reflection, you begin to build a foundation that doesn't shake when the world does. You don't just become better, you become biologically resilient. Your brain becomes a tool, not a trap. Your body becomes an ally, not an obstacle. That is the power of focusing inward. It teaches you to observe before reacting, to respond instead of exploding, to choose progress over impulse. You will be misunderstood. You will be called distant. You will be seen as cold or arrogant by those who are addicted to chaos. Let them talk. Let them scroll. Let them chase noise. You have a system to rebuild, a vision to execute, a mind to sharpen. And in that silence, in that solitude, your nervous system begins to recalibrate. Your potential begins to reawaken, and your entire biology begins to move in alignment with who you were always meant to be. In 2025, the most dangerous threat to your growth isn't failure, it's distraction disguised as productivity. It's the subtle addiction to watching others live while your own life slips by, one unconscious scroll at a time. Your brain doesn't distinguish between meaningful focus and meaningless repetition. It simply adapts to whatever you do often. That means if you constantly expose yourself to distraction, your neural circuits will strengthen around it. You will crave it, you will seek it, and eventually you will depend on it. But the opposite is also true. If you start choosing silence over noise, effort over ease, structure over stimulation, your brain will begin to rewire itself to support your evolution. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens in micro decisions, the ones that feel too small to matter in the moment, but compound into an entirely different future. Every time you resist the urge to check who's watching, liking, or commenting, and instead pour that energy into your work, your wellness, your purpose, you reclaim territory in your mind that was never meant to be outsourced. Biologically, your system is always trying to protect you. That means it scans the world for threats and rewards constantly. But when you're always externally focused, the brain interprets every new input, every post, every comment, every trend as something it must react to. This creates chronic cognitive fatigue, anxiety, and a diminished capacity to focus deeply. When you choose to turn inward instead, something profound begins to shift. Your brain stops firing in survival mode and starts functioning in growth mode. The same neural pathways that once reacted to comparison and stress now become activated by discipline, challenge, and internal reward. You feel more grounded, more clear, more alive. That's not motivational fluff. That's biochemistry. Your nervous system starts working for you, not against you. But this isn't just about mental health. It's about performance, creativity, and direction. When your focus is internalized, your actions become aligned. You begin to operate from a place of clarity instead of confusion. You stop chasing what looks good and start building what feels right. You move differently. You speak more intentionally. You choose your habits and your inputs with surgical precision. This is not because you're trying to be perfect, but because you understand the cost of distraction. You realize that every moment you give away to someone else's life is a moment taken from building your own. In 2025, your energy needs to be protected like your most valuable asset. Because it is. You don't need 1,000 plans. You don't need 10 different paths. You just need one unshakable focus, becoming who you are capable of being. Let others run in circles. Let them argue, compete, compare, perform. You're not here for any of that. You're here to master yourself. You're here to train your biology to serve your future. And that starts now, right here, in the quiet repetition of self-respect, self-direction, and radical self-focus. In 2025, your greatest transformation will come not from what you acquire, but from what you eliminate. This is the year you stop overexposing your nervous system to things that drain you, confuse you, or make you feel small. Your body is a feedback loop, and it's constantly talking to you. The anxiety you feel after comparing yourself to others isn't random, it's neurological residue. The mental fog you carry after bouncing between tasks, apps, and opinions isn't weakness. It's mismanaged input. You're not broken, you're overstimulated, you're not behind, you're overwhelmed by choices that don't belong to you. Focusing only on yourself means decluttering your life at a cellular level. It means honoring your biology over your ego. The people who appear confident, loud, and always on are often the ones most disconnected from their inner rhythm. In contrast, the ones who are tuned inward, who rise early, move with purpose, breathe consciously, speak less, and create more, are the ones mastering their environment from within. This is not about cutting off the world or living in isolation. It's about filtering the world through your own internal compass. Your nervous system is not meant to be open to every frequency. It's meant to be regulated, refined, and directed. When you're too available, too reactive, too tuned into everything around you, you lose your power to decide how you show up. You can't think clearly. You can't hear your own intuition. You're busy rehearsing other people's noise. But the moment you turn your attention inward and start asking different questions, what am I building? What do I need today? What deserves my energy? You start commanding your nervous system rather than being enslaved by it. That's when true momentum begins to build, and that momentum doesn't come from hype. It comes from alignment. It comes from tuning your brain and body to the same frequency and letting the outside world fade into the background. Each day, you'll be tempted to return to the noise. You'll feel the pull to check, to scroll, to compare, to chase validation. That's the old circuitry trying to stay alive, but you have the power to rewire it. Not by force, but by frequency. Consistent actions, grounded habits, focused breath, restorative sleep, nutrient-rich food, deep work, still mornings. These aren't luxuries. They're the raw materials of a focused, functional mind. And when you invest in those basics, everything complex becomes manageable. When you strengthen the roots, the tree grows strong without strain. Most people are exhausted not because they're doing too much, but because they're living out of sync with what their biology actually needs. This is your year to change that, to stop waiting for peace to find you and start creating it from the inside out. You don't need to fix your whole life. You just need to reclaim your focus one moment, one habit, one choice at a time. And once you do, distraction won't just feel wrong. It will feel impossible. In 2025, it's time to stop apologizing for choosing yourself. It's time to stop dimming your light so others feel comfortable in their confusion. The reason most people never evolve is because they're too busy being liked. They prioritize being understood over being aligned. They want approval more than authenticity, but evolution isn't a group project. It's a neurological recalibration that requires solitude, silence, and an unwavering commitment to your own direction. When you begin to focus only on yourself, you will absolutely be misunderstood. You'll be called selfish by people who benefited from your lack of boundaries. You'll be called distant by those who were addicted to your availability. But this is not cruelty, it's clarity. You're no longer outsourcing your identity. You're no longer trading peace for attention. And while it may confuse others, it will heal you. It will rebuild the broken pathways in your mind that were once shaped by people, pleasing, distraction, and emotional self-abandonment. The process of turning inward isn't glamorous. It's often lonely, quiet, and repetitive, but that's exactly where your power is, because repetition is what rewires the brain. The daily practice of choosing your own energy, protecting your own time, and regulating your own nervous system builds internal stability. You become less reactive, less dependent, and more aware. You begin to feel deeply connected to yourself, without needing external reinforcement. You trust your decisions, not because they're perfect, but because they're yours. You trust your timing, not because it's fast, but because it's true. You no longer measure success by how much noise you make, but by how much peace you carry, and that shift changes everything, not just how you live, but how your biology functions. Stress levels lower, sleep deepens, focus sharpens. Your entire system starts to work with you, not against you. People will notice the shift. They'll sense your energy is different, more refined, more intentional. But they won't be able to name it, because most haven't felt it for themselves. They're still addicted to the highs and crashes of external validation. They're still looking for meaning in metrics and purpose in performance. You, on the other hand, are learning to operate from your core. Your moves are quieter but more precise. Your progress is slower but more sustainable. You are no longer racing. You are building. You are no longer reacting. You are creating. That kind of focus is rare, and that kind of peace is powerful. You'll begin to realize that the less you explain yourself, the more you respect yourself. The less you share for validation, the more you create from authenticity. This is your edge in 2025, not a louder voice, not a bolder brand, but a clearer nervous system that knows exactly who you are, even when the world doesn't. And that kind of inner clarity can't be faked. It can't be copied. It can't be borrowed. It must be built, day by day, breath by breath, choice by choice, and you're already building it.